Sports, the Sports Talk with Monaco House and Bonos. Sports Talk is the #1 fastest growing sports talk show in the North. Join us every Monday, 7:30. Follow and like us on Facebook and YouTube. Tonight's guest is none other than Soo Greyhound, Cole MacKay. How are you today, Cole?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me, guys.
And also my two hosts, Tony Bonifero and Jim Monaco. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Cole's leading up to the OHL and being in the OHL. And Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Cole. Thanks for joining us today, man. We really appreciate you doing this. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. We've talked to a lot of kids, who are at the bantam age level, the midget age level, about kind of their journey and kind of, which path they should be taking or how they're getting to their goal. I'd just like to talk to you briefly about kind of how you got started in the AAA program, kind of your journey to become a Soo Greyhound. So you can start us off as early as you want, but can you just talk a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. Before I start, there's no right way to do it. I'll just tell it how I did it. Pretty typical Canadian story. My dad had a backyard rink for me, so that's kind of where the love started. And all my family members, uncles, grandparents, I just grew up around the game, so it was pretty easy to get familiar with. And then it just kind of kept on growing, and I just kept playing at the highest level I could. And then went through the AAA and AA ranks here in the Soo, and then had a lot of good coaches, met a lot of good people, good teammates, made a lot of good friends. And then my minor midget year, I went to Kitchener. I decided to move away. It was a hard decision to make, but it was one that I'm happy I made, and I got the experience to move away. And even though it was tough to leave at such a young age, I thought I made the right decision, and everything's kind of worked itself out. So, like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just me and my family thought that was the best route for me, and it worked out. So,
how old were you when you moved to Kitchener?
I would have been 15.
So the reason I asked that is, we've talked to a lot of athletes who have gone away and moved away at a young age. I have a lot of admiration for kids, who are able to do that. Because I look back to when I was 15, and I don't know if I'd be able to leave my friends, my school, my family at such a young age. Was that a difficult decision for you? And do you have any regrets in doing that?
It was definitely a difficult decision. I mean, the hockey part of it, of course, leaving the guys I played growing up with for 6 or 7 years at that point. So it was tough to move away from them. And obviously, it was my grade 10 year of high school. It was a big year. But no, I don't think I have any regrets, because I went down there and I also met a lot more good people. My schooling was good. Billet parents were amazing. So I had a really good experience, and funny enough, I haven't got a taste of billet life since then. But it's something that I definitely don't regret at all, and I'm happy I did it. But it was really tough for sure to make that decision.
So you're sitting there on draft day, and I just want to talk about your draft experience before we get to your OHL career. So you're sitting there draft day. Kind of talk me through what draft day was like for you. Were the Greyhounds a team that you spoke to a lot? Was there some expectation or some hope there? Kind of talk me through your draft day experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting day. It tends to be an interesting day for a lot of kids. For me, kind of got wrapped up in where I was going and how high and whatnot. But the day started off right away. I went downstairs, put it on my TV with my family, and my mom, dad, brother, and we just kind of kept watching. And as time went by, it got a little bit more difficult. But I mean, at the end of the day, I got picked by a team that I grew up watching, and I couldn't have asked for a better scenario. So funny enough, my grandpa actually was the one who read it out on the screen, because by that point I wasn't even watching anymore. I was just kind of kicking back, relaxing. But it was a cool experience, and it was definitely a good celebration afterwards. But and then to answer your question about if I talked to them a bunch or not really. I think they're one of the few teams I talked to twice, but I never really got the big feeling that they were going to be the team to take me. But I'm so happy they did, and same with my parents. They're happy I stuck around.
Yeah, I bet. One thing I wanted to ask you too is, there's been a lot of talk amongst people in the community, and listen, I know what the Soo is like, so I can't imagine how difficult it would be for, sometimes for you kids to be out there and hearing what you hear. But, there's often been I don't want to say a misconception, but it's often been said that it's really difficult for Sault Ste. Marie born players to play for the Greyhounds. What would you say to that?
Well, speaking from my own experience, I don't think it definitely is there. Like there's added pressure for sure playing in front of so many people that know you, not necessarily that you know, but you step on the ice and everybody knows your name and that you're from there and they're expecting big things. So that kind of feeling lingered for a little bit, but probably midway through my first year, I kind of settled in and I felt really good about it and just was so grateful that I could play in front of my home crowd. And but to answer your question, it depends what kind of kid you get, right? It's definitely something that you have to feel out and it takes a little bit. But I mean, the track record of Sioux kids playing for the Greyhounds is pretty good. So not to pump my own tires, but I think we've done okay. Talking about Blake Spears, that's just the other example that comes to my mind. So no, there definitely is some pressure there at the start, but at this point in my career with them, I'm so happy that I get the chance to do so.
I'm really glad you said that because obviously Tyler Kennedy comes to mind. Another player Sioux-born kid and had huge success at the next level. So no, answered that perfectly. So let's talk a little bit about the Greyhounds itself and kind of like I'm curious about the life of an OHL player. Mm-hmm. So during the season, let's say it's a typical season. It's early December. Kind of walk me through the week of an OHL player.
Okay, well, depending on what kind of schedule we had the week before, we'd probably have an off day, either the Sunday or the Monday, then get right back after it on the Tuesday. With the high school guys will go to school for the regular morning classes, and they'll have a workout at the school at lunchtime. Our trainer will go and tend to them for a little bit, and then the older guys will be at the rink probably around 9 or 10. I'd say 9. The earlier the better, and they get their workout in and skills in the morning. So that'll be 45 minutes in the gym, half hour on the ice, just working on the little stuff, different every day. D go with Smitty, and then 4s go down with Tards, and then we'll go home, have our lunch. We have study blocks as well that we got to take care of, but then everyone's usually back at the rink by 2:30ish. Then we get going with practice around 3:30. We just sit around, enjoy each other, have a couple snacks, and then get on the ice. Probably, depending on Tuesday, it would probably be a longer practice. We might go right until 5 and then just shoot around afterwards. But then you're usually out of the rink by 6:37. And we play Wednesday games sometimes. In that case, Tuesday won't be that jam-packed. But if we were to play Friday, Wednesday would probably be very the same. And then Thursday we might just stretch or roll out instead in the morning, and then do systems or something Thursday afternoon, and then prepare for the game in the morning. The typical morning skate, get to the rink probably same time, 9:10. High school guys, I'm pretty sure it depends what coach we have, but they'll let the high school guys come on the morning skate if they have class or not. So and then we just get ready to play. And obviously road trips are a little different with bus ride and stuff. So but usually, it's morning skate, have lunch at the rink, go home, nap, come in around 4:35, usually leave around 9:30, 10, and then probably do it again the next day because we play a lot of games on the weekend. So it's important to get home and get re-energized.
So you talked a lot about, it sounds like it's quite the commitment, right? Obviously, and being an OHL player is quite the commitment. Would you say it's more than what you expected coming out of midget?
Yes and no. I remember coming out of my first training camp when I signed with the Greyhounds. I was beat. Like I was exhausted. I was begging for a day off, and by December that year, I was like, holy man, like we're skating every day. Something you're not used to as a younger kid, but it definitely is a lot. But now that I look back, like it's definitely exactly what you have to do. You go up to the pro level. I've had a little glimpse of that, and you definitely need to be going in your mornings and putting the time in the gym and watching video with your coach whenever you can. And so they do it the right way in the Soo, I believe. Put in a lot of extra work to try and develop us to get to the next level. But it's definitely everything that I've imagined it to be. But at the start, it was a little bit much compared to what I was used to.
All right, I'm going to play a little rapid fire game with you quickly, and then I'm going to pass you over to Jim. So I don't think any of these questions are too crazy or too intense, but if you want to pass, just say pass if you'd like. So best part about being an OHL player?
The big crowds.
What's the worst part about being an OHL player?
The big crowds.
Long bus trips. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I'm used to them by now. Thumbs up.
Toughest rink to play in?
For me, it's Saginaw, but probably the whole HL could probably say London or Kitchener.
That's awesome. What was your welcome to the OHL moment?
It was my first exhibition game in Saginaw, and Keaton Middleton at the time was our captain. He was a little bit bigger than I was, and he kind of gave me a welcome to the league moment. I think I caught him in the crotch area with my stick, and he didn't like that very much. And he was giving me an earful the whole game and hit me a little extra hard, so that was cool.
I worked the penalty box, right, for a lot of years. Sorry, a little off topic. And Middleton was one. I'm a big guy. Middleton's one of the few guys I had to look up to. So that would have been not very enjoyable. Toughest player you've ever played against?
Toughest, like in terms of like.
Sorry, most difficult player that you've ever had to play against.
I wasn't on the ice very much against him, but Jordan Kyrou probably, definitely. Yeah. My first year.
What's your best quality as a hockey player?
I like to say my two-way game. Put the puck in the net as well.
What's the one area you need to improve in your hockey game?
Probably skating. Still been a couple years working at it, but still.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, that's really all I had. I only had a few questions I wanted to fire at you, see how you did. But no, that was great. I can't get over. I mean, I know how big you are, right? So I can just picture Middleton coming at you and going at you pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing before I hand it over to Jim is, obviously people have been following your career, since you were young. Mm-hmm. The progress that you've made, in my opinion, from your rookie year as a Greyhound to now has just been unbelievable, right? I think you deserve a heck of a lot of credit for how far you've come and how you've developed. What's been the number one thing that's kind of led to your development? I know the Greyhounds are an outstanding organization and one of the best in Canada. What makes them so good, right? Like, what has helped your progression?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for the compliment, first off. But in terms of the Greyhounds and how they handle things, I mentioned it before. They put in a ton of extra work, and from the top down, from Raptus all the way down to coaches, training staff, equipment managers, they make everything so easy, and just make sure you have to think about hockey, and that's it. So just the little things like that, and then maybe grabbing you after practice or staying on the ice with you a little extra to put in that extra time working on something that you need to put that extra time in. So like I've had a ton of experience with that, with both sets of coaches I've had in the Soo, and it just adds up over time. We do video and practice, even of skill sessions I talk about, and we break them down afterwards, and it goes a long way when you look back at it. And without that, I don't think I'm anywhere close to where I am today, and still got a long way to go. But they definitely do it the right way, put in a lot of extra work, and no matter who you are, even when I was a 16-year-old, they were treating me the same as a 19, 20-year-old. So I think that's really important that teams do that, and we definitely do it the right way, I think.
That's awesome. All right, Jim, go ahead.
Cool. Take us back to your first year in the OHL. You guys had a really good team, and ice time was a little bit hard to come by for you. As a young guy, you were always one of the best players on your team, getting lots of ice time, being the go-to guy. Just explain to me that feeling, that transaction of playing your role, being a smaller role player on the team, and how was that mentally on you? And you think that made you a better player?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, every young guy in the OHL has to pay their dues and go through that, and I think that experience made me better today. But like you said, coming out of minor midget, where I was maybe the go-to guy, to start the year off in the OHL, I was just happy to be there, to be honest. Like, I was a little starstruck because I was obviously familiar with the team and what kind of personnel they had on all areas, the coaches, forwards, D, goalie. So to start, I was just happy to be there, and I was trying to soak it all in like a sponge. But definitely as you go down the stretch, even though we had such a good team, and I understood that I wasn't going to fit in that top 6 or top 9, it's still like you still want to play hockey and you want to contribute. But it took some learning, but I figured out that just being a good guy, being positive, even as a young guy, goes a long way on a winning team. So definitely something that I'm looking to implement going forward here with the Greyhounds. But that was something to me that I had to get over, and I just kind of embraced the role and work through it and try and help the guys as much as I could.
Now, Cole, you come from a family with a great hockey background. Your grandfather, Austin, was a good hockey man. Your dad was a good hockey player, played junior B hockey. Your uncle Kevin, very successful OHL career. Your uncle Derek, high draft pick, ended up going, I believe, to Wayne State to play. When they're all around at the supper table and stuff, and your family's together, do they argue over who was the better player, or is that understood who was the best player?
I think they still argue, but at this point now, with me being the only one playing, every Sunday we have family dinner. So if we have a Sunday game at home and I got to go there afterwards, I know what I'm in for. But kind of what you said, like when we're around the dinner table, all of those guys and even my grandparents and my mom, they all have something to say about my game and what they think I should have done better or what they would have done in that situation. So it's a good atmosphere for sure. It's kind of fun to blow off some steam after the game, win or lose. So, but definitely they all have something to say after every game.
I guess so. Now, and how about this one? I know your dad, I know your whole family, but to me, your uncle Kevin was always Muggsy. But
yeah.
Who goes by Muggsy? Do you have that nickname? And I hear people call your dad that. I hear everybody call that now. But to me, it was all growing up. It was always your uncle Kevin. Then it was Muggsy. Yeah. Could you want to tell that story a little bit?
From what I've heard, my Uncle Kevin, it was definitely his name to start. And then I know my Uncle Derek carries that name now as well. My dad and my grandpa I don't rarely hear anyone call that Muggsy, but my older brother kind of took that nickname from me before I can get a chance. But I mean, 3 Muggsies is enough, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Now, growing up, you grew up with a lot of good players. You guys had a really good age group. You had real good coaches. Talk to me about being young and the good influences and the good coaches you had growing up. And you guys would skate a lot. And tell me how that helped you guys.
Yeah, well, starting at 9 years old, obviously my dad was my coach with Frank Porco, Brad Baber, Aaron Gavey, a couple good hockey names from the Soo. So we pretty much had the same group all the way up to minor midget, and that we really grew together as people and players, and it was something I'll never forget. I'm still very good friends with probably most of those guys on the team we had. So we had a lot of good players, a couple good teams, won a couple championships, but like I said earlier, that my love for the game kind of grew through those years. So it's definitely due to those coaches and the teammates I had, but definitely a lot of good people that have helped me get where I am today.
Now, do you ever wish? I mean, I know you basically played mostly hockey your whole life. I think you played a little bit of baseball too, didn't you?
Soccer.
No? Yeah. Now, do you ever wish that you had played other sports, or are you happy with your decision just to concentrate on hockey? What are your thoughts on that? I know as a football coach, I think you would have been a good football player because I know you're good. Do you wish sometimes that you had tried other sports, or you're happy with the direction and your
well, you guys would probably be familiar. Like when you're in grade school or elementary school, you kind of get a taste of all the different sports, maybe except for football, Jim. But I got a taste of basketball, soccer, baseball a little bit. So I kept playing soccer through the summers, and I played in high school as well. So I'm happy that I did that. So it wasn't always about hockey, but there's definitely some days when you're watching the NFL or MLB or NBA where you're like, oh man, I don't even know what it's like to be in one of those games, and maybe it'd be nice to. But no, I'm happy with my decision to stick to hockey, and there's no better sport in the world, in my opinion. So.
Now, what are you doing now, Cole, to keep yourself busy? I know you're a good student, and I know what are you doing with schooling, and I know you like to do some a little bit of volunteer work too. If you want to talk a little bit about that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely been a long year and a bit now, but kind of went through different stages doing different things. Last year, I was in school last year, just finishing up high school, so I did that. Volunteered at Arch Hospice a little bit to just yard work, and then just kind of golfing, staying up to date on my schooling, working out, skating. Recently got a job, been doing that, but definitely schooling's definitely been one thing that I've been focusing on consistently throughout this whole thing. So gotten a couple university credits under my belt from Algoma. So kind of staying on top of those things, but it's definitely been challenging. There's days you wake up and you have nothing to do, and you're so used to going to the rink for those 6-7 hours a day, like I mentioned. So it's definitely been a hard transition, but hopefully we can get back to a little bit of normalcy here soon. But definitely kind of juggling different hobbies here and there.
Okay, I'll ask you one more question, then I'll hand you back over to Bono. What's your plans? Are you just going to pursue hockey as far as it takes you and go from there? What's your goal there? There's lots of different avenues you can still go. I know the NHL is still in your mind. You're just going to follow the hockey dream as long as you can and see where that goes, and then take it from there.
Yeah, a little bit of yes and no. But from the start, my dad's always preached to me just be the best player and person you can be. So I'm going to play to the highest level I can, but at the same time, I'm obviously really aware of schooling and that I need to get that done. So we'll see. This next year is going to be big for me, whether different things present themselves or not. So I'm going to have to make a pretty difficult decision down the road. But schooling is definitely in the back of my mind. That's something I got to get done. But at the same time, if I do go to school, I still want to continue playing. So hockey is something that definitely would be right up there in terms of stuff I want to keep doing going forward here. But it's right now I'm not sure. You said, the NHL, obviously, it's so close, and that's still the dream. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I go to school and play there. So
I'll sneak another question in here before I go back to Bono. Cole, did you get to go to a NHL camp? I know you were invited to a couple. Did you get to go this past season?
This past year, I was with the Marlies for I think 5 weeks there in February and into March. So that was a good taste. Obviously, really lucky to have that opportunity and feel that out for those couple weeks. But definitely something I won't forget.
That's awesome. Okay, thanks a lot, Cole. I'll go back to Bono now. Bono?
No, go ahead, Jay, and then I'll jump in after Jay has a couple.
Okay. Cole, Jim was talking a little bit about the Marlies, and for people who don't know, you talked what a typical day was for the OHL. For those 5 weeks, what was it like to be with the Marlies, and what did they entitle?
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't get into a game, but I kind of got a taste of what it was like. But regular, I'll just say a game day. The boys would go in. It would be an optional skate, depending on when they played last. Go in same time, 8-9 o'clock after breakfast at the hotel. Obviously, a lot different with COVID. The breakfast process takes a lot longer with masks and social distancing and that whole thing. But get to the rink early in the morning, optional skate. Usually every guy in the team is going to be doing something, whether they stay back and do a little bit of workout or just go on the ice for 10 minutes. But for me, it was get there. I'd skate with the guys that wanted to skate for those 15 minutes. And then the junior guys or anyone who's scratched would stay on after for 45 minutes and put their dues in and probably have a little bit of a bag skate or just work their bag off with the coach for an hour. But then after that, we'd go back, we'd have lunch, same thing, the buffet style, but with people serving you and the window in front and the whole thing. And then you go back for a nap, and then we would head to the rink with the team around 4 o'clock for a 6 o'clock game, and then we would head up to the press box and go down first intermission to do our workout. But it was very similar to what we do in the Soo on a regular day. So that's kind of why I believe that we're doing things right here. If an organization like Toronto is doing the same thing, we got to be doing something right. So it's a full day commitment where you don't really have much time in between to think about anything else. But at that level, that's their job. So you got to be really dialed in at all points of the day. So.
And Cole, I know you've grown up with Keegan Stevenson and Nick Porco and those guys, but this year was a little bit different. You're on the ice almost every day with them, at least skating.
Yeah.
What's it going to be like to get back on the ice in September and play against them again when you spent the whole winter skating as friends?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be funny because think about it, that was pretty much our team for the year, into our summer, into the fall, and then into the winter too. So I think playing in a game again in general will be a very, very humbling experience come next year if we get to play. But yeah, no, we had a blast. We pushed each other every day, and it was a good group of guys to have up here in the Soo, and kind of do what we could in these challenging times. But yeah, definitely going to be weird.
And you got to be on the ice, right?
Yeah, better than that for sure.
Tony?
All right, Cole, before we let you go, a couple more quick questions for you. So I just want you to talk a little bit about the coaching staff. I know, there's, head coach John Dean with Jordan Smith, Jamie Tardif, a pretty well-experienced staff, and just kind of talk about them as coaches, kind of, their style and how they push you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the three of them are great. And then I'll throw in my trainers and equipment manager as well, Jay Thomas and Julian Cooper. The whole staff as a whole does a really good job in making sure everyone is doing what they need to. But to talk about the coaching staff, those three guys hold you accountable at all times in the day, whether you're on the ice or even in the hotel room or on the bus. So it's a big thing for them to be accountable for whatever you do, whether good or bad. So. But in the 2 years I've had them, I can't say anything but good things. They really tell you how it is. If you're playing good, if you're playing bad, they bring you in, try and construct video with you. Like I said, they put in those extra hours to make sure you can become a better player. So I think that's kind of the normal in the Greyhounds organizations at this point. But no, they do a really good job, and I'm happy that they're our coaching staff for sure.
How intense can Smitty get in the dressing room?
Yeah, Smitty, you guys probably know he's pretty intense. Funny enough, when we're scratched, or the scratch guys in morning skate, after the guys get done, whether it's two or three of them, they play two-touch, they call it. It's like a 2-on-2, and the coaches Tardif and Smitty get in there, and they get pretty intense. So it's funny. That he kind of gets to show off a little bit of how it was.
Yeah, I coached Jordan Smith, believe it or not, in elementary school basketball. He was my stud center, and I think he's the only kid I ever coached in elementary school who got more than one technical. So
I don't doubt that at
all. No, that's great. One other question. This is kind of a fun question. I hear this all the time with hockey guys. Oh, pregame routine, right? They always talk about their pregame routine and how they always have a nap. And you've mentioned nap, I think, 3 times so far today. How can I played football at a pretty high level, those types of things. I played hockey. The thought of having a nap before a game just never registered with me. So is that just something hockey players say, or are hockey players just that chill that they can actually have a nap pregame?
Oh, probably 80% of the guys I've ever played with, a nap is part of their pregame routine. You wake up in the morning, like I said, have your little skate and lunch, and after lunch you're ready for your cat nap. At least that's how it is for me. When I get home, I just lay in bed, maybe go on my phone for 20 minutes, and then every guy's different, the length of the nap, but they're not kidding. It's the legit thing that a lot of guys do. So if you don't nap before the game, you're probably in the minority group there. So it's definitely something that guys do, and it gets me ready.
So speaking of pregame routines, what kind of superstitions do you have? I'm assuming you have superstitions like all other hockey players. So what's Cole MacKay's big superstition pregame?
Yeah, it usually changes year by year with a few exceptions. Go to the rink, or even before that, in the morning, go to the rink, tape my stick a certain way. Figure out which one's hot. If I use the one before the game before and I scored, maybe I'll keep that going and tape it the same way, and then use it morning skate, untape it before I go back home. So it's naked before I come back, and then go home. Like I said, have my nap, usually 90 minutes or so. Get up, have a little meal, and then get in my suit, drive to Tim Hortons, get my usual coffee. That's something that's been the same all along. Maybe a donut if I'm feeling a little extra hungry, and then I get to the rink and tape my stick. I'm usually one of the first guys there, tape my stick, and then head out just with my gloves and shoes and can go onto the bench and stick hand on the ice for a little bit. That's something I did last year. And then from there, it's kind of just sewer ball, playing soccer, do a little ritual with a couple different guys that it just happens to flow that way. If we bump into each other at the same time, we'll do maybe like a handshake or maybe talk about the same thing we did the last game if we played well. But and then it goes right into warm-ups after that. The where you stand at a certain drill and warm up, or who you pass to first, or where you shoot. It's kind of, you'd be surprised the amount of rituals guys have. But I'm pretty basic. Like I have a couple that I stick to by heart, but for the most part, I'm kind of just play it by ear. And if I played well the game before, I'll try and keep it as much the same as possible.
That's great. And my final, two questions. My second last question is this. What's your best? I've asked you about what the best part about being an OHL player is. I've asked you about the worst part, those types of things, hardest guy to play against. What's your favorite memory as a hockey player? It doesn't necessarily have to be as an OHL player, but what's your favorite memory as a hockey player? Maybe a tough question, but yeah. I know. Yeah.
I could talk about this for hours, but probably like hockey wise, just the purity of the game would be just being outside the rink my dad built for me and my brother when I was young. I know I was really young, but that's where it all started. And I remember I wouldn't let anybody watch me skate until I knew I could for sure. And but yeah, just the little things like that's where it all started, right beside my house, and just me, my brother, and my dad. So that's probably the thing that I'll cherish the most about the game of hockey. But I'll just throw in an OHL memory, and a couple of you guys might have been at the game, but when we won the Western Conference my first year, even though I sat on the bench for three and a half periods straight, it was just awesome. Like, I obviously grew up watching the Greyhounds and everything, and never got to witness them win a game that big before. And I happened to be front row seat on the bench, dressed in the uniform and everything. But when Jack Kopaka scored that goal, it was surreal. We all jumped on the ice and tackled the goalie, and then we got the trophy, and the crowd was going crazy. And it's just something I could have never imagined as a kid. Like that would have been like my top dream in the world, to be on the ice for a trophy presentation wearing the Greyhounds jersey. So that was really special to me.
It'll happen. I mean, there's still a chance.
No, we're hoping to in this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right, Jay. I'm gonna let you, because my last question will be a one-word answer. So go ahead, and then I'll finish up.
And Cole, you talked about traditions and about jumping on the ice. What did it mean to you? And so many guys have worn it in the years past. What did it mean to you when you were handed that A on your jersey?
Yeah, definitely something I'm very proud of and humbled to have on my jersey. I know it's no small feat, but I wear it with pride every night, and I'm just happy to be one of the guys that gets to wear it, because I know in our locker room right now we're a pretty old group, and there could be a lot of guys that could don the A. So it's definitely something I don't take lightly, and when I saw it there for the first time, it was a really special moment for me, and something I'm very proud about. So hopefully I can wear an A on a team that we can bring to a championship here next year. So that's the end goal right now, and I can't be more proud to just wear the Greyhound jersey in general. I'd give up that A in a second to keep that jersey on. So that's probably all I can say about that.
And Jim had mentioned about nicknames. What is all dressing rooms have nicknames, and if you can tell us what's probably the craziest one and right now the one in the dressing room of the Soo Greyhounds.
There's a lot of them. We had some pretty clever guys. I don't even know if I could say it. Like, even I can't even remember them off my heart. Like, there's been so many. One just kind of leads after another. Like, if a guy does something and he gets called a name, you'll just find something that's kind of related to that and call him that the next day. Like, but there's been a lot of clever ones. I'm sure I'll think about them afterwards, but there's nothing I could tell you right now.
Go ahead, Tony.
All right, Cole. So last thing I'll ask you before we let you go. New guy moves to Sault Ste Marie, and he comes to the Greyhounds and says, "Hey, Cole, where's the best pizza in town?"
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Oh God, I think Fratelli's, but I know that's probably an unpopular opinion.
I love Fratelli. Yeah.
That's when my family orders pizza. It's usually from there, Aurora's. I like it a little better than Aurora's, but I think Fratelli's as a whole restaurant, it's my favorite in town, I think. But pizza, yeah, probably.
It's funny you say that, Cole, because I've heard about Fratelli's Pizza for years, and then last summer I finally went and had Fratelli's Pizza, and I see I see what the hype is. So I completely
you can't really miss though.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Cole, really appreciate you coming on and doing this. We always talk about how well spoken it seems like people from Sault Ste. Marie are, and we kind of threw a lot at you here tonight, and you handled yourself extremely well. And we really appreciate you coming on, and we thank you for representing Sault Ste. Marie and representing the Greyhounds organization in such a positive manner. And you have a whole bunch, you have 80,000 people here, cheering for you no matter what you decide to do. So best of luck along the way. And actually, it looks like Jay has one more question, but thank you so much for doing this.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure.
Go ahead, Jay.
Cole, the last thing we had mentioned about being a Sioux boy growing up watching them. Now you have Connor, like the organization has Connor Toms, another local boy coming into the organization. And you probably have talked to him. What advice can you give him being another local boy, hopefully making the roster?
Yeah, no, I'm actually pretty close with him. So we've had a couple discussions about maybe playing together down the road here. But no, he's a good kid and he works really hard. So I don't think he has as much to worry. I don't think he has anything to worry about going forward here. Like, if he continues to work the way he is right now, he's got a lot of good things in his future, and hopefully he can be on our team next year and help us win a championship. But like I said, like, hard work will take care of everything if you have the right attitude, and I know he does. So I know he's got great things wherever he decides to go. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
And one advantage for him as a 16-year-old is he got to play about 20 games this year with the Thunderbirds. So he saw some junior A action from the midget action. So for him, it's going to benefit him going into camp next year, hopefully, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's big for him. I know in a year where a lot of people weren't playing, he got to play, and in that league, it would be good for him to kind of get his feet wet with junior hockey and ease the transition to next year if he plays for us. So definitely good for him.
Well, Cole, can't thank you enough, and hopefully we can have you here just before camp starts in August.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you again. I had a lot of fun, and like what you guys are doing here. You're doing well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Cole. Nice talking to you. Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Take care, bud. Yep.